Hey, welcome back to the Just the Facts Man podcast. I'm Riley Kavanagh. Today, we're doing a deep dive on something that, honestly, still feels like a living organism in the world of heavy music, Ozzfest. Short version up front, we'll run origin stories, the arc of the festival, who it launched, the 2008 Ride for Dime tie-in, and, because you've all been spamming my DMs, the chatter about a reported 2027 return in Birmingham. Quick disclaimer, everything we talk about on the 2027 stuff is based on public sources up to early 2026. Things could change.
Nice. Grim here, Marcus Delgado. I ran second stages and loaded trucks on a few Ozzfests back in the late 90s and early 2000s. So yeah, I've got boots on the ground stories, and I'll call bullshit when something sounds like wishful thinking. Let's get into it.
All right. What is Ozzfest, really? In the simplest terms, a travelling festival founded by Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne that, unlike the more indie or pop-leaning festivals of the 90s, put heavy music front and centre. It became a proving ground, mixing legacy acts with hungry new bands on multiple stages, often at lower prices than headliner stadium shows. For a generation, it was how you discovered the next big thing in metal.
And it felt like home for the punters. I mean, back then, you could walk up to a stage, catch a raw, unsigned band, and a couple years later, they're selling out arenas. Ozzfest had that community vibe, but also chaos. Chaos in a good way.
So, how it all began. Picture the early 1990s. Ozzy's solo career still big. The music landscape shifting toward alternative and nu metal, and festivals like Lollapalooza defining the multi-band tour model. The story that gets told a lot, Sharon pushed back after Ozzy wasn't getting the festival slots they thought he deserved. That fueled an idea. Why not create a festival that celebrates heavy music on its own terms? Ozzfest first tested the waters in 1996 with dates in Phoenix and Devore, California.
Those first shows were scrappy. You had Ozzy at the top, but the lineup below him was a mix of established and raw bands. I remember loading in PA and thinking, this could either flop spectacularly or become something special. By 1997, it had ballooned into a full North American tour and later expanded into the UK and beyond.
Key features that defined it: multiple stages, real room for discovery on the second stage, and a fan-first approach, at least in the early years. Tickets were often priced so younger fans could afford a day out. It wasn't slick corporate festival. It was closer to a community-run vibe, led by a family and their team.
Yeah, no VIP skyboxes back then. Well, not many. Mostly muddy fields, merch tents, and crews who drink cheap coffee until sundown. That was the aesthetic.
Okay, let's run through the eras. Late 1990s, the classic era. Ozzfest put acts like Black Sabbath, Ozzy, Slayer, Antera, Fear Factory, Sepultura, Typo Negative, Machine Head on massive bills. These were the years it cemented cred across metal scenes.
Pantera on Ozzfest was wild. Dimebag's tone, the intensity, what a scene. And bands like Machine Head and Fear Factory got huge bumps from those crowds. I worked a few of those runs. The audiences were relentless.
Early 2000s brought the nu metal and early alt metal wave. Slipknot, System of a Down, Disturbed, early Linkin Park appearances, Papa Roach, Godsmack. Plus, the festival opened up to metalcore, Killswitch Engage, Shadows Fall, Unearth, acts that would define the 2000s heavy underground.
That was a weirdly perfect collision. You had the old guard and the new kids on the same bill. Sometimes the crowds clashed, sometimes they mixed, and it was magic. I remember Slipknot bringing a new kind of physical energy that even the older fans respected.
Mid-2000s experimentation, Ozzfest leaned heavier. Lamb of God, Trivium, Mastodon, Hatebreed made appearances, and you still had classic headliners like Judas Priest and Black Label Society. There were controversies. Remember Iron Maiden rumours in the backstage drama in 2005? Classic festival politics.
Oh man, drama. Backstage arguments, logistics messes, and sometimes bands just not getting the respect they thought they deserved. But those years also gave us Trivium and Mastodon before they were arena regulars.
2007's US experiment stands out. The free Ozzfest concept, where tickets were given away and labels and sponsors helped make it happen. That was an attempt to keep the festival accessible, but it wasn't sustainable in the long term. By the late 2000s, Ozzfest wound down its full annual touring model, moving towards sporadic events, international editions, and later collaborations like Ozzfest meets Notfest in the 2010s.
You could see the industry change around it. Bigger corporate festivals, shifting ticket prices, sponsor demands. Festivals that once felt grassroots got corporatized. Ozzfest adapted, but the touring grind got tougher to justify every year.
Which brings us to now, the 2027 Birmingham return chatter. So here's what is actually known as of early 2026. Multiple press outlets, interviews and fan reports have suggested that Birmingham, Ozzy's hometown, is the target for an Ozzfest return in 2027. The narrative around it is celebrate Ozzy's legacy, honour Birmingham's heavy metal roots, and create a flagship homecoming event.
Sounds amazing, right? But important. Publicly, as of the latest verifiable sources, there's no fully locked official lineup, day-by-day schedule, or sitemap published. People are talking. Sharon and Jack have been quoted in various interviews expressing interest, but the difference between we're planning and tickets on sale is huge.
Exactly. And the US, no confirmed US dates for 2027 tied to Ozzfest have been announced. So if you're in the States and thinking you'll hop on a bus for a tour, that's still speculation. All the firm talk has centered on the UK, specifically Birmingham, so far.
Ticket prices? Same deal. No reliable public info on tiers, VIP, or day versus weekend passes for 2027. Historically, Ozzfest prices varied. Early years were modest. 2007 had free admission in places. Later years had premium options, but for 2027, nothing official. Keep an eye on Ozzy's channels and official ticket platforms.
Let's address Sharon and Jack directly. What have they said? Sharon Osbourne, historically the driving force behind Ozzfest, has publicly said she'd like to bring it back under the right circumstances. In mid-2020s interviews, she framed the idea as something meaningful, a tribute to Ozzy's legacy and the city. But again, she's been talking intent and planning more than publishing full festival details.
Jack's been enthusiastic in interviews too, talking about growing up with Ozzfest, how formative it was, and hinting at modernizing the concept. Things like mixing legacy bands with newer heavy acts or adding streaming/multimedia components have been floated in conversations, but no formal plan has been released that locks those things down.
So take those quotes as excitement from the family and team. Very positive. But don't mistake enthusiasm for a ticket link. Check official Ozzy/Ozzfest socials for hard announcements.
All right, legend time. Who has played Ozzfest over the years? Rapid fire. Headliners and staples include Ozzy Solo, Black Sabbath reunions, Zakk Wylde Black Label Society. Classic metal giants: Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Slayer, Pantera, Megadeth, Rob Zombie, Motorhead.
New metal and alt heavyweights: Slipknot, System of a Down, Disturbed, Korn, Deftones, Linkin Park in the early days, Papa Roach, Godsmack. Metalcore and modern heavy hitters, Killswitch Engage, Shadows Fall, Lamb of God, Hatebreed, Mastodon, Trivium, Avenged Sevenfold, Atreyu, Unearth. And the second stage? A conveyor belt of underground and soon-to-be big acts across death, thrash, and hardcore.
Those second stage bands, that's where careers started. I remember seeing a band on the second stage one year and thinking, they're gonna blow up. 2 summers later, they were in the main tent. Ozzfest had that reputation for breaking bands.
Now, the Ride for Dime connection. Ride for Dime is a charity and tribute movement honoring Dimebag Darrell Abbott, supporting causes like music scholarships tied to his legacy. In 2008, Ozzfest partnered with Ride for Dime for tribute elements during the festival. There was a special motorcycle tribute ride organized that ended on the festival grounds, which then kicked off Ozzfest 2008. There were also special tribute sets, branding presents, and charity components that funneled donations toward the cause.
It fit naturally. Pantera and Dimebag had a huge place in Ozzfest's heart. 2008's inclusion of Ride for Dime gave fans a space to honor Dime and contribute to something lasting, rather than just be another festival memory.
That's the emotional side of Ozzfest. Beyond commerce and booking, it's always been about community and honoring the scene's heroes, which is why the talk of Birmingham feels right. Homecoming, roots, tribute.
Look, if they do a Birmingham Ozzfest in 2027, it'll require big logistics. Permits, local council buy-in, staging, security protocols that have changed drastically since the 90s, and especially sensitivities around the family wishes. Not impossible, but big.
Exactly. So for listeners, what should you do if you want to be first in line? Follow official Ozzy, Sharon, and Ozzfest channels. Bookmark major ticket platforms and reputable music news outlets. Don't trust random pre-sale Telegram groups or sketchy sellers. And be wary of early resale price hype. If no official face value tiers are announced, everything else is guesswork.
And realistically, prepare for a premium. If it's a one-off Birmingham celebration, there'll be high demand, international fans, and prices will reflect that. But yeah, don't overpay before official pricing drops.
Closing thoughts. Ozzfest started as a scrappy, fan-forward festival that helped launch genres and careers. It evolved with a scene, sometimes messy, often iconic. And even as it stopped being an annual tour, its influence stayed huge. The rumoured 2027 Birmingham return fits the festival's narrative of honouring legacy and discovering new talent. But right now, it's an exciting promise, not a finalised itinerary.
If you've got memories, muddy pits, rare merch finds, that band you saw in a tiny tent before they blew up, share them. And if you've got a dream 2027 lineup, spit it out. I want to hear who you'd put on that bill.
Keep your expectations grounded, keep the excitement burning, and stay tuned to the right channels for announcements. We'll be following this closely and we'll bring you updates as soon as anything moves from rumour to confirmed. Thanks for listening. This has been the Just the Facts Man podcast with Riley and Grim.
Later. And oh, one last thing. Who would play your dream Ozzfest headline? Tell us.